Welcome to the Feel Better podcast. I'm Charlotte, and I help high-functioning women who look capable on the outside but feel overwhelmed beneath the surface. You're holding it all together, raising kids, navigating relationship pressures, building a career, and wondering why things feel heavier than they should. You're not failing, but it is time to carry things differently. Here you'll get clear insights, practical tools and strategies, and conversations that move the things that are keeping you stuck. This is where women come to feel better. Thanks for joining me. Zazi Henderson is a speech and language therapist who has built an incredible brand of products for kids, and she regularly inspires mums through what she shares online. Not in the Pinterest-worthy inspiring kind of way, but in the messy and wonderful kind of way. In this episode, we talk about parental overwhelm, managing kids and screens, parenting as a neurodivergent person, and what to do when your kids need you, but you're completely at the end of yourself. I hope you love this episode.
Yeah.
Yay. The most exciting part of these questions are the warm-up questions.
Yep.
And I would love to hear, because you're a bit of a foodie, top dish in Christchurch at the moment.
I am obsessed with ramen.
Yes.
Are you a ramen eater?
I am, but there's not good ramen where I live. Tell me where the good ramen is in
Right.
Christchurch.
So my brother knows a lot about Asian cuisine, and he has a lot of Asian friends, and they put him on to Cameron's Japanese restaurant. Now it's in Hornby. It's in that building that looks like a burger, or looks like it used to be a burger. It's like a burger shaped building. Whenever I tell people this, they're like, "What on earth?" It's a big burger shaped building. It's now used by a Japanese family, and they make the best ramen, and
Delicious.
I crave it. Cameron's. But if I'm not eating that, I'll be making a beeline to Dimitri's. Have you had Dimitri's in the city? It was like one of the first things I had when I first moved to Christchurch, and then it's been through all its iterations through the earthquakes. We're eating it out of vans, eating it in Riccarton, and then
so good. Of it. And they just have a cult following that will literally follow them. Yeah. Favorite thing to do at the moment with your kids?
My kids are obsessed with climbing trees at the minute, and that's really easy and that's really cheap actually. And we're all about saving money at the moment.
Yeah.
So we go somewhere local, and my kids just want to be climbing trees, and they're acting out. We're reading a lot of chapter books at the minute, and in one of the chapter books, there's a squirrel who has a slingshot, and he's slingshotting acorns. So they just want to pick up acorns and pretend they're launching them at us.
So good.
And that's cheap and cheerful and wonderful, and it just feels really earthy. We're out really outdoorsy all of a sudden.
Very wholesome.
And up until recently, it's been like, I don't want to go out. I don't want to go to the quarry. And I was like, that's the only place they want to be.
I feel like your Instagram is really nostalgic for me, because I spent 10 years parenting in the same community that you live in.
Yeah.
And I see you out running the same streets that I used to run, feeling exhausted with little kids.
Yeah.
And that kind of preschooler, early primary stage. And it feels like so much nostalgia for me.
I feel a little bit like that when I see people in Dunedin, because both my kids are born in Dunedin, and like a lot of my early days were there, frequenting the same parks. You have your little routines that help you get by in parenting. So I get it. Yeah, with the park around the corner, my kids called the Paw Patrol Park.
Yeah.
Because once we pretended like we were rescuing the Paw Patrollers. Oh. And we haven't played that since, but it's the Paw Patrol Park, and that's what they know it as, and how they named stuff.
Super sweet. And tell me, if you had 2 hours to yourself, what would you do?
You know what? My happy place at the minute is fighting. I train MMA, I train Muay Thai, kind of like jiu-jitsu, just fighting. I basically pay to get beaten up, and I really enjoy it. And I never thought I'd be saying that, but it's amazing for my nervous system, and I leave feeling so happy. So I'd probably spend an hour and a half being punched.
Yeah. And then to recover.
And then I'd probably go out for breakfast with John. I'd eat some delicious food. That's what I'd be up to if I had 2 solid hours to myself. Wow.
Nice. Yeah, I mean, it's a bit of a luxury idea, hey? So I'd love to launch into then talking about sensory input, because I think one of the things that occupational therapists and speech and language therapists, and that's your background, speech and language therapists, OTs, they really get this idea of sensory input and how important that is for our nervous systems. And us therapists have kind of done a little bit of a disservice to people over the years with what I think has been like a real over focus on cognitions, on emotions, and forgetting about our bodies and our senses. So things like fighting high sensory input.
Yeah.
Talk to me about what you know around the importance of senses.
Well, I think most people think that we only have 5 senses,
Yeah.
and we actually have 8.
Yeah.
And those 3 that no one has even heard of
Mm-hmm.
are the ones that are driving our mental health.
Yeah.
And then people are like, well, what don't I know about?
Yeah.
So those 3 senses in your nervous system are proprioception. So that's the feeling of your body in space. So like I can feel this beautiful chair against my bum. I can feel it against my muscles. I can feel myself moving my arms. All of that feeling of where your body is proprioception. And that's why children seek things like a deep hug or a heavy blanket, or why children get a lot out of like pushing and pulling and doing heavy work to regulate that area of their nervous system. The other area is our vestibular system. So that's our understanding of like movement in our bodies. Are we balanced? And meeting that sensory need is innate. Like we rock babies, and I find myself rocking in this chair. I'm trying not to.
You're totally allowed.
The way that we soothe ourselves when we soothe babies is through rocking and movement, and that's why kids love swinging, and some kids love spinning around in circles. You know, they're trying to soothe themselves and soothe their vestibular system with that sort of movement. And then the third, and like arguably most important sense, is interoception. So that's inside of our body. So our understanding of ourselves. Are we too hot? Are we hungry? Are we tired? Is our stomach hurting? And if we don't have a good awareness or good interoception of how we're feeling, we can't actually meet our own needs. Like I'm a shocker for needing the toilet and just not even checking in with it until I'm absolutely bursting. And I see that happening in my kids. And my kids aren't so good at recognizing when they're hungry. And then they're having a meltdown. And I know a lot of parents are in the same boat. They're thinking, what is wrong with my kid? They're losing it. And what I feel my role is at the minute is trying to educate parents that they're not being naughty. They have a need that's not being met. And often it is interoceptive. They're unable to check in with themselves. They're probably hungry. They're probably thirsty. They're probably too hot and haven't even thought to take their jumper off. How can we meet those needs to regulate their nervous system for them to feel better?
Nice. That was such a massive learning curve for me as a mum, was around my own mental well-being and the fact that I couldn't like cognitively coach myself through these things that I was struggling with. This wasn't an emotional problem. I actually needed to use my senses to feel better. And my starting point was playing at the playground with my kids.
Nice.
Like not observing them at the playground, but going and putting myself on that spinny thing or doing the monkey bars and actually kind of like getting that input, feeling my body in space and going, wow, this actually feels really nice.
We need that input.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's a bit not safe for work, but there's a reason why adults have sex. You know, you're getting a lot of sensory input from the movement and your muscle movement, and there's someone against your body. Like we seek that and we need it. So I can see why running around at the park would help. And it is annoying to learn and to really deep as an adult that when you feel anxious and sad, chocolate feels good, but isn't fixing your problems as much as actually getting out and exercising. Like the what the doctors have said is true. Like when we get out and move ourselves, like it does so much for our brains. Even though I would just like to sit and watch movies and eat chocolate.
So I love this. So far in the podcast, we've got have more sex and play at the playground.
Absolutely. I think that's where you should start.
Top mental health tips for mums. I love that. What do you wish people had told you at the beginning of your parenting journey?
I wish that people had hammered home a little bit more to ask for help. I don't think anyone is very good at asking for help, and we do often exist in a bit of a vacuum. We are in our own little small family units at the moment. It's not like back in the day where you had a village, or your family close, and then we expect a lot from ourselves as parents, and we stack up the jobs, and we would never hire one person to do all of those things and get the groceries and cook the dinner and think of what you're going to eat and parent the child and do all the laundry. You wouldn't hire one person to do all that, yet we expect that. We expect ourselves to do all of that and then watch people online doing amazing things with their kids and just think, I'm not doing enough, I'm not enough, and we are enough. We just need to ask for more help and get more help with some of those things, or lower the bar
Yeah.
significantly.
I love that. And I think that that's one of the reasons why people really enjoy following you, is that you can accept, actually, this thing is not important to me today, or I'm allowing myself to be real about
Yeah.
the fact that this is where I need to spend my attention right now, not on cleaning my house.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's cleaning the house. Sometimes
So
it's
rarely for me.
organizing the kids' bedrooms,
Yeah.
but sometimes it's not.
Yeah, no, I think as much as possible, I really am trying to share the shit show. I think
Yeah.
people need to see it. And whenever I do, that's when I get mums reaching out saying thank you,
Yeah.
because what happens on Instagram and Pinterest, they've got these wonderful, beautiful houses that everyone aspires to. Yeah, I'd love to have a house that looks like that, but it isn't reality, and I don't have the time to do that.
Yeah.
And a lot of mums feel the same, and they just want to see the chaos. And I do sometimes get feedback that people say, "Oh, I thought you had everything sorted," and I realize that in the fact that I don't film my kids having a bad time, because
Yeah.
it's just unethical. I
Yeah.
don't show that side of things, so I'm actively parenting in those moments.
Yeah.
People are shocked when I share about
Yeah.
this went to shit and the acting was terrible. And they think, oh, I thought you had everything fine. So
Yeah.
I'm doing my best to verbally share those things, but without
Yeah.
overstepping the mark or telling stories about my kids that I shouldn't, you know?
Yeah. And it's kind of interesting, isn't it, when you've had a professional background that does give you some bit of an advantage of the skills that you've got going into parenting.
Mm-hmm.
And yet we're faced with all the same stuff as everybody else.
Oh, 100%. I went into having a second child being like, I've got all of the behavior strategies in the world to deal with having a second child, and
Yeah.
everything will be fine. And it's chaos.
Yeah.
It's chaos. My daughter, we're scared of her sometimes. She just has so much power. She's so amazing. She knows her own mind, but she stormed into my room at 1 o'clock in the morning with her pillow and her teddy and kicked John out of bed. She was like, no, I'm going to have this space. You don't want to argue at 1 in the morning. You don't want to create any noise. Just like, sure, like, you move in, see you, John. You
I
know?
love it so much. I was at Briscoe's the other day, and you know how they've got squishmallows at the checkout?
Of course they do, yeah.
Of course they do.
Mhm.
These poor grandparents in the school holidays had been sent out with the grandkids. And here they were at Briscoe's. They'd reached the front of the queue. The kids found the squishmallows and started to have a meltdown about the squishmallows.
Mhm.
Lo and behold. And there's a big line of people behind them. And God bless this granddad who, at the little girl who was having a meltdown and making her case for why she needed the squishmallow, said, future leader right there. Excuse us, everyone, but future leader.
Oh, I love that.
And I felt like that was such a success because it was another generation embracing that as well, that we can actually go, no, these kids are working out their way in the world and this is okay. And actually, this was a bit of a setup and we can respect what this child's saying too.
I think often we're trying to, being in public with kids who are losing it is really embarrassing. And we're often trying to shut down these emotions and get them to blum and stop because it's embarrassing.
Yeah.
So it's refreshing to hear that someone was just like, I can actually let this go. I can let this child have their moment and feel whatever feelings they're having. Because we drag kids to shops all the time and the kids watch us buy whatever we bloody well fancy. Do we want to treat ourselves to that candle? Do we want to get that little bit of chocolate bar? We touch and consume whatever we want. And then we get... Parents get upset when their kids touch things. You don't touch anything.
Yeah.
I just witnessed you touching everything and buying whatever you want. So it's understandable that our kids are like, well, why can't I just grab this squishmallow at checkout like you do, Mum? So.
Yeah. But it is such a big shift as parents to get out of thinking that what our child is doing is bad behaviour. I think that's one of the things you advocate for so well, is saying to parents, this is your child communicating with you. This is actually your child doing something that's perfectly reasonable when you understand that they don't have a whole lot of control about a shopping experience or what the day looks like. Like this makes sense for them to be like this. This isn't bad behavior that you need to control.
I think I really struggle with the terms like terrible twos.
Yeah.
I understand why parents use them because it's a way of signaling to another parent, I'm having a really tricky time and I'm in this phase that I don't know how to cope with. Like there's a reason for it, but it is sort of like it does the connotations, and it's rooted in thinking that kids are bad from the beginning, like they're in this terrible stage. And what's really happening is your child's communicating with you more. You're just not really sure how to, you're not picking up what they're putting down.
Yeah.
Your child is having more ideas and they don't have the language behind them to say exactly how they feel. So they start lashing out with their bodies. And all of that is communication. Every behavior is communication. So if your child is hitting you and they're biting you, they're communicating with you and they're pretty much saying, I want help. And I think that's what I'm always trying to tell myself internally.
Yeah.
A child is just saying, I want help. I don't know what to do with all of this.
Yeah.
So I'm doing daft things with my body.
Yeah. And tell me about your journey to starting an Instagram account, having your own podcast, trying to share with other parents. What was the heart behind why you were doing that?
I was just at home not using my brain and finding that really difficult. I have ADHD. I wanted to be doing a million things at once. And I was following other creators who I was seeking advice from, especially around sleep. You know, when you're in the early stages and you're like, I just want to get sleep sorted. And I saw the creators doing Q&As and answering questions. And I thought, you know what, I could do this in the speech and language therapy space. I can do this in the child development space. So I just got started and it was a way of keeping my brain busy and remembering, you know, all of my training and what I really enjoy, which is helping people and coaching parents. And it just grew from there.
Yeah, cool. I think a lot of people don't quite understand what speech and language therapists do.
Yeah.
Can you give us a little bit of a pitch of how your profession helps people?
Gotcha. Well, it's a bit, there's different avenues of it. It's a bit like plumbing and electricity sometimes. I worked in the education sector. So I worked with children and for the Ministry of Education in the beginning. So I worked there, years. And basically we meet families, assess children, see, you know, what we think is going on for them. And then a lot of my role was coaching adults and what they could do to help their children's development, help their children's communication. So I was a speech and language therapist for many years, but then I became a service manager. So I sort of oversaw a multidisciplinary team of different therapists and organised all of the support that went out to different schools. So a couple of roles while I was working there before I had kids and left.
Amazing. And that background professionally means you've got some skills in your toolbox that you can share with other parents.
Yes.
What are the things that you find parents love most about what you share with them?
I think I do my best to just keep everything really simple and I try and keep everything routines based. So in what you're already doing, we already are time poor. So we don't have the capacity to sit down and add anything extra. So any of the strategies that I'm trying to give are within what you're already doing. So I bumped into a mum in the supermarket the other day and she was really struggling with the speech therapy she'd been told to do for her kid. And I said, he's working on a sound. When you're brushing your teeth, can you just say spit before he spits? Kids love to spit. Can you just do that? And then she got back to me and she was like, that's all I needed. That's all I had the capacity for. I was feeling guilty every day for not managing to do the sit down stuff. We've been saying spit every time we spat into the sink of one, you know? So I want to keep things really simple for families and achievable and within what they're already doing so that we don't need to add to the guilt we've got as parents. It's already crippling.
Yeah, so good. And you just mentioned there about having ADHD and your own experience of that. Tell me about how that collided with becoming a parent.
I think I was diagnosed after I became a parent, but things definitely heightened as I got older. And in becoming a parent, I found that I was, you know, wanting to do all the things that was in my brain and didn't have as much capacity. I was losing control of my mental health a little bit more. I was struggling more. And I was very aware of ADHD, but typically in boys and in little kids at school. And I was in that space, but hadn't really thought of it in adults. And slowly but surely, most members of my family were being diagnosed. And when I looked at it for myself, I was like, my goodness me, this all takes everything that I experienced in school and experienced in life. And I was diagnosed, and that was it's a real it was wonderful to be diagnosed. It was also really sad to look back on how you managed at school and how a lot of times I was really struggling and didn't get the support. It's a big thing. And I don't talk about it heaps now because it's almost trending.
Yes.
It's almost trending, and I just think I mention it in the odd bits and on a podcast, but I'm not about to make all of my content about that. Because there's still so much stigma around talking about neurodiversity, and it's just not my role at present. I'm just managing it for myself.
Yeah, nice. I get a lot of messages from women saying, I've hit perimenopause and now I'm wondering, whoa, the wheels have come off. And what I wondered about when I became a parent around potentially having ADHD, I've hit perimenopause and I'm going, well, I need to do something about this. Have you got any advice for women who are thinking, oh, maybe this is something I want to explore for myself.
I think just trust yourself. No one in their everyday life spends loads of time researching whether they're neurodivergent, unless they
Yeah.
probably really are.
Yeah.
Like, you're smart enough. If you're reading the things and you're thinking, this is actually me, then back yourself. And then if you feel like it, take the steps to go and look at it formally. But it
Yeah.
can also feel fine to just read it and be like, actually, that is me. What are some strategies that are recommended? And what have I already learned in my life? And what could I be adding? Because you don't have to have a diagnosis for these things to really help.
Yeah.
And it's the same in the child space. There's plenty of children who don't have a formal diagnosis of anything of
Yeah.
neurodivergence, but the strategies in the classroom can really help them,
Yeah.
regardless of that. So just back your own knowledge of yourself,
Yeah.
and and trust that what you're reading is supportive for you.
Yeah. What I find so sad is women going, gosh, I just really need that diagnosis so I can let go of my judgment of myself, the shame that I'm carrying, the standards that I'm holding that I constantly feel I'm not able to meet, the ways I feel like I'm failing.
Mm.
And I just wish we could give ourselves that acceptance without needing to pay the money and get someone to tell us that we've got the thing, which might be something some people need to do. And can be really validating. But I just see so many women holding out and not giving themselves emotionally the acceptance, the lowered standards, the accommodations, the flex that they need, because they actually really need to be able to give that to themselves.
Yeah, it is hard to, because we're always comparing ourselves, right? And it's
Mm.
only gotten worse with social media. We're always looking at what someone else is doing, and it's a highlight reel again.
Yeah.
I'm struggling to it to not look like a highlight reel. So many
Yeah.
parts of my life are an absolute mess. But
Yeah.
that's not what I'm filming. That's not what I'm in the brain
Yeah.
space doing the content about it. So we're seeing highlight reels of people's lives, and then we're comparing, and we're wondering why we haven't got that all going on for
Yeah.
ourselves. It's really difficult. So yeah, wouldn't it be wonderful if there was just people everywhere that could help to diagnose and help you to understand yourself a little bit better? I think
Absolutely.
as we become parents and we age, and all of my friends are talking about perimenopause at the minute. I mean, it's a scary point of our lives, and that's like every other conversation.
Yeah.
We are just trying to understand ourselves and understand our brains, and maybe just
Mhm.
have a little bit more time to ourselves, you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah, nice. You have been down a similar journey to me with running, and
Mm,
that I think you found running at the same point that I found
yeah.
running in my parenting journey when I was still kind of knee deep in the sleeplessness and the kind of day to day struggle and grind of parenting. And then
Mhm.
along came endorphins
Yeah.
and the kind of joy of this process and the goals that are associated with running, the community that you can gain from running.
Mm.
I have loved watching your journey with that.
Oh, thank you.
Tell us what you've loved about running.
I think it is the time to yourself. The memes
Yeah.
are all true,
Yeah.
There's a lot of women out there pounding the pavement
Yeah.
and doing 16K runs. It's a
Yeah.
couple of hours, 3 hours to yourself out and
Yes.
about.
Amazing.
And so that has been really beneficial. I learned about parkrun through a podcast, one of my favorite podcasts, and I'd never
Yeah.
heard of it before. And I started attending park runs, and I just loved the community feeling of that.
Yeah.
And it has been different. I mean, I've never, ever, ever enjoyed sport or moving my
Mm.
body at all my entire life. So it was a big shift wanting to get fitter and wanting to move my body, and taking on board that it was making my mental health feel better.
Yeah.
So it was new for me to ever set goals in an
Mm.
area. So it became really exciting. You're like chasing the next dopamine hit. You're like, oh, so I can run 5K now without stopping. Wow, can I do 6?
Yeah.
Well, maybe I should just impulsively sign up for a race,
Yeah.
because that sounds like something crazy we can do. And I found I found new friends.
Yeah.
Found new friends. Some of them are 10 years younger than me. I've got these new young friends that I'm
So
running with.
cool.
But it's cool. We hang out, and
Yeah.
and those are my running friends, and we run, and we
Yeah.
socialize, and we need that. I need that away from mum life, away from making lunches and reading books, etc.
Mm.
life, and I found that in running.
I remember standing with you in the school playground when you just signed up for your
Yeah.
first half marathon.
Impulsive decisions.
So good.
Yeah.
But like, I love being with other women when I'm like, oh, you're in for a treat here. This is going to be so amazing for you. And look at you go now, being an ambassador
Yeah.
for the Christchurch Marathon. How cool.
Yeah, I've absolutely loved it. I
Yeah.
think my next race is I'm going to do Run Tekapor. So it's going to be a
Cool.
trail run. I'm going to be running in the hills. And it comes
How
with like a
cool.
list of like, you need a safety equipment. You've
Yeah.
got to have like a rain jacket and things in case you die, essentially,
Yeah.
I think. So
I love
I'm
it.
really signing myself up for the next level. And people keep reaching out to me about triathlons and stuff. I'm keeping them at bay. Not getting me any water yet, but maybe
Yes.
one day.
Oh, what I love about that for you is that the running event comes with a little bit of a holiday. Like you can go away, you can do your run, then you can have a lovely time for that weekend away in Tekapo, wherever
Yeah.
you're going.
Runcation, people are calling it. And I've heard of
So
people heading to
good.
Melbourne. I was like, I've been making the wrong decisions.
Yeah.
Because I need to run in Melbourne.
Yeah, apparently there's a good marathon in New York too.
Ooh. Yeah.
No, I found myself out one day running in pitch black at 3 a.m. around similar location to you on New Year's Day because I had to fit in a 3-hour run.
Right.
I was breastfeeding a baby.
My goodness.
So I was like, I've got to get out and do this. My only opportunity to fit in a 3-hour run is to start at 3 o'clock in the morning.
Oh my
And
gosh.
people were still coming home from the like New Year's Eve celebration.
But people watching.
Going, what the heck is that woman doing?
Yeah.
But I'm like, I'm here for my mental health.
Yeah.
Honestly, this is like the biggest game changer for me. I looked forward to it, not because of the run, but because of getting out and having that space to myself.
Yeah. It's wonderful, especially if you found a nice spot. You're just like, I'm in my own space. I'm listening to a podcast. I'm listening to some really good music, and I've only been listening to the Wiggles or whatever recently, This is all for me. It is a wonderful time to be out. And you're right about the endorphins at the end of it.
Yeah.
You can feel the worst on a run and hit every minute of it. But at the end, you're like, oh, wow, now I feel amazing. And now I'm better ready to show up as a parent and be kind and enjoy my kids because I've had time to myself.
Yeah.
My cup is filled and I'm not feeling god awful.
Yeah. Yeah. What's your ideal distance at the moment? What have you found your kind of sweet spot is?
I really just like doing a 5K. I love going to park run. I've made it a really social thing. I invite people along who don't even run. I'm happy to walk it with them. I'm happy to run it with them.
Yeah.
And we go out for cake and coffee afterwards. And
so good.
the social part of it is really important to me, less the running. So it's whatever anyone else is up for doing.
Nice.
But I love, I could only run for 20 seconds at the beginning. To now just be able to run 5K without stopping feels wonderful. And then you just sort of begin gaslighting yourself. You're just like, oh, it's only 2 5Ks. It's only 2 park runs and you've done 10K. It's only 3 and a bit park run. You do your maths in 5Ks instead, even though you're exhausted.
Yeah. And someone said to me when I first ran 5Ks, I was like, guys, look at this. I did it. And someone said, well, now you can run a half marathon. Honestly, like that's the jump that happens. It's so
It's
good
true
for
though,
us.
because then you just push yourself to the next level and you do the next level.
Yeah. But behind that as well is that as mums particularly, or generally as parents, we actually have to have some beliefs about our ability to take time for ourselves and making that space to be away from our families when we're juggling lots of other things in life anyway. What are the things that you have told yourself that have enabled you to actually get out the door, to go to MMA, to go for a run?
Yeah. We've got to be selfish, right? Because we're so selfless with kids. It's such a time of sacrifice. We give everything, we pour everything into our kids. But we can't actually be the best versions of ourselves and be good parents if we've got nothing in the tank, if there's nothing left in the cup. So we need to fill it up. And I really tell myself that it is my job to fill my cup. No one else is going to come and save me and make me feel better. Like I have to do that for myself so that I can be a good parent. So I've got to be selfish. I've got to say to my kids, no, I'm going to the gym. As they're like, Mummy, don't leave. I want you to stay. Mummy, you're always leaving, is what they say at the minute. Because I'm the parent who goes, John's more like the core parent. I'm the one who goes out all the time because I'm the one who works more and heads to the gym more. Mummy, you're leaving. And it pulls at my heartstrings, but I need to model for my children that I'm filling my cup and I'm moving my body and I need to be selfish. And when mums reach out to me about like how to get, I had a mum recently said, how am I going to get started with this? Like we both work full time and then we come home and then it's dinner and it's bath and it's bed. And when will I ever get the capacity? I said, you're going to have to be selfish and you're going to have to take turns. When I was getting started in my fitness journey, John backed me 100%. He was cooking dinners every night and he was feeding the kids and getting them ready for the bath or whatever. And I went to the gym every day at 4:30. So I was missing dinner time and I was selfish and I wasn't the mum in the kitchen cooking because I needed that for myself because I wasn't doing well in other ways. So I was saying to this mum, you don't actually both have to be there to do all those things. Take turns, be selfish. Men can run at night. Sadly, women we can't.
Yeah.
He can do his thing a little bit later.
Yeah.
Take the time out and do something for yourself.
Yeah.
And get out there.
And so often I think we have these ideas of family life that are about all kind of like being together
Hmm.
as this little unit all the time. And I don't know about you, but our reality has been so much more tag teaming
Yeah.
than in this little bubble together all the time.
Yeah.
Mm,
Same with us. We can't always be together. At the times when we are is wonderful,
yeah.
but if again you've got to think, am I actually filling my cup? And it's like movie spec, isn't it? To be like, and my cup is being filled by always being with my children and my husband, and aren't I having the most wonderful time? Check in with yourself. Are you really? Or do you need to
Absolutely.
go shopping for a bit? Do you need to check in with a friend? And so many of my mum friends currently are going through, I guess, the same mental health crisis that I did a few years ago.
Yeah.
And just feeling exhausted and like they're not coping as much. And when they've checked in, like one of my friends has had 3 kids, her eldest is 6, and she reflected, I actually haven't had a day off in 6 years. Like I've been
Mm,
full-time parent day in, day out. And we went for a park run together and we went for a coffee and she was like, look at me in a cafe.
yeah.
And I was like, you need to check in and reflect. This is wonderful for you right now, but you need to check in and reflect that how amazing you feel right now, you need to replicate it. It shouldn't be that you've gone 6 years without sitting in a cafe without a child next to you, you know? You
Yes.
need to learn to be more selfish and tag out and have your time to yourself.
Yeah.
'Cause it's otherwise we just my brains melt how we're not full versions of ourselves and we're not
Mm,
giving ourselves grace and supporting our mental health back to full capacity.
totally. I think one of the things that, as I reflect back on my own parenting journey, that I just didn't really recognize soon enough was obviously, as a mental health professional, I knew all about anxiety. I knew all about depression, all of these kind of common mental health issues that I'd worked with people around. And I wasn't prepared for things like overwhelm and rage and sensory struggles and these other things that were kind of like less talked about.
Mm-hmm.
But that was where my mental health struggles were showing up as a
Yeah.
parent. I'm not sure we're doing a good enough job of naming that stuff, but for me, that's
No.
where my mental health really started to kind of show up as being something I needed to focus on because my signs weren't, I was staying in bed because I was depressed or I was feeling anxious all the time. My signs were I was feeling ragey. I was
Me
shouting at
too.
my kids.
Yeah, I experience a lot of postpartum rage. I guess you don't know that about yourself until you're faced with children and what's happening
Yeah.
for them. And I felt a lot of ragey feelings when I felt things were out of control, like my kids
Yeah.
weren't doing what I was expecting in the moment. I thought it was nap time. You look tired. I've lain you down. You're not falling asleep. I'm craving time to myself, actually.
Yeah.
I'm craving silence and I'm touched out. So
Yeah.
now I'm feeling irate because you're not falling asleep.
Yeah.
And it wasn't ever coming out for me. I was doing really well to manage it and not be shouty. But then I wasn't nothing was coming out. So then I was just feeling it
Yeah.
internally. And I was saying to John, like, I'm not wanting to snap at you but internally I'm burning.
Yeah.
And yeah, you really have to stop and be like, what on earth is going on for me here? And
Yeah.
a lot of it was overwhelm and sensory overwhelm. To have kids there hanging off you, they're around you all the time. There's a lot of noise.
Yeah.
And I've learned for myself that I'm really, really affected by noise.
Yeah.
I like things to be quiet. We briefly talked at the start there about having like an ear pod in to get
Yeah.
through things. That's a strategy. It's a valid strategy if you're feeling overwhelmed by
Yeah.
things. Noise cancelling earpods.
Yeah.
My goodness, just for a second to yourself. So like understanding more about your senses and what causes your overwhelm so you can meet
Mm.
those needs
Yeah.
can help you get through your parenting day for sure. The noise of a fan above a above a cooker, that fan, the extraction fan,
Absolutely.
it's like daggers. It's like razor blades to my
Yeah.
face. I can't stand it. And
Yeah.
sometimes I'll be feeling the most intense rage, and I'm like, hang on a minute, that woman fan's on, and that's all
Yes.
needed. Turn
Yeah.
that off. And it's like,
Yeah. And
okay,
actually, you don't have to turn
yeah.
it on when you're cooking. You can always do
I
it
just
later.
have the sense baked into the curtains. I don't
Yes.
care as long as I'm not feeling angry,
Yeah. Yeah. Mine is visual clutter. My overwhelm comes through visual clutter, which, is just not a problem as a parent
Never a
of young
problem at
kids.
all. I'm thinking, you would not survive it. Second in my house, it's all visual clutter. And I do
Oh,
feel the same. Sometimes it is so overwhelming.
yeah. But like grab the washing basket, put all the crap off the bench in the basket and shove it in a cupboard, and
I
my
do.
mental health improves
Hmm.
tenfold.
Absolutely. Sometimes you just got to do the bare minimum to get by.
Absolutely. Yeah. And then the problem over time became the cupboard that all the stuff got shoved into.
The crap cupboard. Hmm.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Mm.
Tell me your other top tips for mums who are feeling overwhelmed. What would you suggest they start with?
I think, yeah, you got to fill your cup. You got to find time to yourself. And if
Mm,
it's all going to crap and there's just you only need to find yourself 30 seconds, 60
yeah.
seconds even. And it's okay to say to your kids, I think mums often think, I've got to hide this side to myself.
Yeah.
But really, what we're trying to do is grow kids who have that interoception, that can feel that something doesn't feel right and then know what to do. And sometimes we've got to overtly do that. So I'll say things to my kids like, I'm feeling really hot and my cheeks are getting flushed. I need to take my jacket off. So to coach, this is the feeling, this is what we do about it. And I do the same when I'm stressed. I'm saying, I feel really overwhelmed, guys. There's so much noise right now. I need some quiet. You guys are bickering.
Yeah.
I'm just going to step outside for a second. So I'm kind of saying how I'm feeling. I'm pointing out how I know I'm feeling like that. And then I'm doing something for myself.
Yeah.
So don't feel like you've got to hide it and then just explode, which ends up happening. Take some time to yourself.
Yeah. I'm a big fan of that too, and coaching our kids through that. I had my little boy who turned up to kindy one day, and in front of all of the other parents at drop-off time went and said to the teacher, I'm just needing to let you know that I'm starting to feel mildly frustrated.
At the beginning, like
mums were like, spot the counsellor's good.
Nice.
But I think that, yes, go hide in the pantry if you need some space to yourself. I don't have a walk-in pantry anymore. It's driving me insane. Can't hide there anymore. But tell your kids what you're doing. I'm feeling this, and so I'm doing this for myself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And your kids need to learn that you're not always just going to drop everything and be suddenly with them. I will make myself a cup of tea and I'll sit down. They're like, Mummy, can you come to the zoo? Mummy, can you? I say, yeah, I would love to. So I always make whatever I'm saying sound like a yes, even if it's a blinding no. That sounds like a great idea. Right now, I'm having a second to myself. I'm just watching you from a distance, or I'm hiding in my bedroom. I'm just going to finish this cup of tea.
Yeah.
I'm just going to have this time to myself, and then I'll be ready to play. So we can't always just be on and around. We can't. It is already a full-time role. We are allowed some breaks.
Yeah.
Legally in any sort of job, you'd have some sort of break. We have to take those breaks to ourselves.
Yeah. And I love the phrase, mummy's a person too. I use that all the time with my kids. I'm doing this because mummy's a person too.
Yeah.
I'm having this time because mummy's a person too. I'm doing something that I want to do for me because mummy's a person too.
Yeah.
Such a winner for my kids.
Because they don't really think of us as that.
No, they're like,
we are the bringer of all things. We're the makers of all foods. We're the fixers of all illnesses.
Absolutely.
We're a worker to them.
Yeah.
It is nice for them to see us take time to ourselves and get out and move, and for them to have pride in us for that. Like, I'm loving my kids seeing me run and get medals and go out, and I come back and do whatever fight moves on them, and they're like, wow, mum's a superhero. They need to see us as other than just mum.
Absolutely. One of the other things you bring a lot of inspiration for people around is reducing screen time or being able to cut screen time.
Yeah.
And I think that this is something really interesting that lots of parents are thinking about. But the piece of the puzzle that you present to people really well is around the importance of play and how we scaffold and encourage our children towards play, because you can't just take away the screens and go, occupy yourselves, guys. What's your advice for parents around minimizing screen time, increasing play for their kids?
Having less screen time is a real, it's a privilege, right?
Yeah.
Because we can't, it'd be stupid to say, just don't have any screens because we need it. If we might need it because we're working full time, because there's only us, because we're neurodivergent and we actually need a break, and we need the kids to just be parented. The screen is an extra parent. So it's not realistic for us to be just like, don't use a screen anymore. But if we're looking to reduce it, yeah, you're right. It does. We have to teach our kids what they can do instead, and screens are designed to keep you watching them.
Yeah.
We're all a bit addicted to our phones. Let's admit it. They're so shiny and so exciting, and they feed us this dopamine.
Yeah.
And then when we take this stuff away from kids, they're actually having more like withdrawal symptoms, right? They're having a tantrum and losing it, not just because the screen's off. It's because you've taken away that little drug that they've been enjoying for a bit, and we need to replace that with something.
Yeah.
I'm trying to educate parents as much as possible to sort of embrace the mess in their house, because children need to play and experiment and be creative. And that involves moving stuff around. And play doesn't look like, I just put this, play with this and do this thing, then I gently put it away. Play is like manic. It's all over the shop.
Yeah.
And we need to.
Those cushions are coming off that couch, aren't they? Yeah.
They're bouncing everywhere. Yeah, I think we just need to give our kids some leeway to play so they can learn how much fun they can have out of play.
Yeah.
So they're not seeking screens. They're not seeking the dopamine of those flashy lights. So I try and show that in our house, it's a bit of a free for all. It's if you want to get some towels and sheets out the cupboard, I guess they are freshly laundered, but you're
Yeah.
making a camp with them. Cool.
Yeah.
You know, the payoff is my kids are busy and they're occupied and they're collaborating on stuff. Yeah, we have to work as a team to put some sheets away at the end of the day and put my sofa back together so I can actually sit on it.
Yeah.
But the payoff is so worth it because they're not begging for screens all the time. We still watch telly, don't get me wrong. Telly still goes on. But I'm teaching kids the benefit and everything that can come out of play.
Yeah. Nice. I think that adjustment is really tricky when kids are quite dysregulated around, no, I need this. Like, and they are like little drug addicts and saying, give me that screen.
Yeah.
And I talk with lots of parents who go, actually, this has gone way further than I wanted it to go in terms of how much access they have to screens. And I'm needing to pull this back. But whoa, I'm almost struggling with my child's addiction to screens or with their own kind of well-being around this. Have you got any advice around managing that transition?
I think just it's worth looking at the times that you've given a child a screen. Don't try to like fix the situation straight away. It's worth checking in. When are we putting screens on? And typically we put screens on when we are overwhelmed or our kids look a bit overwhelmed, and it's like a way to calm them down. And what we're doing is we're calming children down with screens. So when our children don't feel great, they're seeking screens. This happened to me as a child. I don't know if you can relate, but I watch my wonderful parents as they're grandparenting my kids. If my kids are crying, my mum has emergency chocolate in her bag. And she's like, we've got this emergency chocolate. You ever heard? Here's your emergency chocolate. And she doesn't realize that she's doing with food what modern parents tend to do with screens. You know, we want to stop the crying. We want to give them something that'll stop the crying, and chocolate works. And then we wonder why we go on to have food addictions and be loving sweet things. Screens work in the moment. And you know, think kids are coming home from school, they're exhausted. Just put the telly on for them a little bit. So they're learning in these times of not feeling great. A screen really helps me. We're all tired at the end of the night. Oh, you just put the screen on a little bit. So first checking in with that and being like, what can I do instead? And what can I replace that with? Even if it's just one time a day. So after school, instead of I'm just going to put a screen on, let's meet the kids' needs in another way. Let's see what is dysregulating them. Well, they're probably starving at the end of a school day. They probably need some food. Could we have one card game together, or could I read them one story, or just slowly can I start reducing that screen time and filling that and meeting their needs with something else? And often what our children need are, you know, some food, some connection time, some checking in to calm down. My kids want to take off scratchy uniform that's been bothering them all day, and they've been masking it all day, and then they get home and they're like, everything feels awful. We need a change of clothes. We need some calm time. We need some crunchy snacks for that input. That proprioceptive input. They might need some swinging on the monkey bars or pushing against our body, or they love to wrestle. So I'm meeting those needs in other ways, and then they're more ready and more likely to enter into play after that without needing a screen. So just I would say check in and slowly start to reduce in little ways.
Yeah. I have seen other parents kind of eye roll at me when I've turned up to school on a really hot day with juicies, something like cold and icy and crunchy for my kids. And they're like, oh, look at, you know, mum bringing the treats kind of thing, like how luxe. And I'm like, no,
this is survival, actually.
Absolutely. I'm like, I don't want to melt down because my kids are tired and hot and overwhelmed. Like this is my strategy for emotion regulation.
I've
Sorry.
said to so many parents, have you got ice lollies? Sorry, I'm so British. You've got to have ice lollies in your freezer at all times. And it's not like, oh, just a wonderful treat and how lucky. No. It is. It's a calming strategy. We use ice lollies. We use frozen fruit in our house. My kids love frozen blueberries or chopped up frozen cherries, or like whatever.
Yeah. Or you got me into frozen cherries.
Yeah, that's the thing.
It's cost me hundreds of dollars.
I'm so sorry. Honestly, I just said frozen cherries out loud, and I was like, "You're just lying because you put those in your own smoothies. You're not giving those to the kids. I've given the kids bits of frozen mango and stuff. Anything frozen is so it can feel really good for kids. Anything crunchy. So the first thing I do when I pick my kids up is, okay, we're going in with some sort of snack, and icy snacks are wonderful.
Yeah, and sometimes I've even got the snacks like in my hands at school pickup if I know it's been a really big day, or they're definitely in the car if we're going off to do something. So just like being able to embrace that sense of this is what works for my family, and I don't really care what other people think when they're looking on.
Absolutely, you got to think it's all survival, right?
Yeah.
It's all survival, and we're so worried all the time about what other people are observing and what other people are thinking. It really doesn't matter. We
Yeah.
don't know what's going on in people's
Yeah.
houses. We really don't. We just got to do what fits right for our own family.
Absolutely. I was going to do a last little consult of my questions. You've been amazing. Thank you.
You've got a style. You're like, I love my big round.
I know. They work super well for podcasts. But yes, the chairs now live here.
I think they're having your kete of
Absolutely.
furniture.
Well, like this was actually, my kids were really sad when this left my house because it was an emotion regulation chair.
Oh,
And
yes.
every child who turned up to my house for a play date would get in that and spin around and around.
We have the big Milo. I was gifted like a big Milo.
Yes.
It's like looks like that, but it's a bean bag, and it's just like the crashing zone.
Yeah.
My kids just run and jump at it and crash their bodies into it constantly.
Yeah.
And every kid who comes round is crashing into this bean bag. I'm like, thank goodness for this piece of it. Like
100%. We've got 2 of them and they are the best. Best piece of furniture in our house by far. Yeah.
I love them.
Super good.
Filthy, mine. Absolutely filthy.
Oh.
Just don't care. Just you know.
Yeah. They are washable, but you've got younger kids. Yeah. Tell us, what do you think parents should do if they just feel completely at the end of themselves and they're in a moment where their child needs them, but they need them too?
Mm-hmm.
What do you do in those completely overwhelmed moments?
I would definitely. Sometimes you just got to turn the telly on. Sometimes you've just got to get that other parent involved, and the other parent is sometimes the telly, right?
Yeah.
You've got to think, how am I going to get 60 seconds for myself?
Yeah.
I said about taking a step outside. You can pop the telly on. You can make yourself a cup of tea and just say, I just need the second to myself. Tell your little one that this is what you're going to be doing, that they haven't done anything wrong. I love you. I'm just feeling so overwhelmed. You know, sometimes you feel really overwhelmed and you're really tired. That's how I'm feeling at the moment. So this is what I'm going to do to sort of fix that. I just want mums in that place to know it's not their fault. Like them feeling that way, especially if it's coming up a lot, isn't a them problem. It's like a systemic problem. It's a systems problem. If your cup is constantly empty, the systems are in place to sort of free you up so that you can fill your cup a little bit more. Yeah. So,
that is such a great shout.
In the moment, do what you can.
Stop blaming yourself.
Yeah, like lower the bar.
Yeah.
For goodness sake, like just do whatever you can in the moment to make sure that you aren't going to lose it. Yeah. And then think, this is happening a lot for me. Actually, I'm going to have to call in the grandparents. I'm going to have to say to my partner, you're going to cook tea this week, actually. Yeah. So that you've got the systems in place so you can take some more time to yourself. We're no good if we're completely burnt out.
Yeah. How about blame your systems instead of yourself? That's
blame
great.
Your systems.
Yeah, super cool. Can you give us a couple of go-to phrases that parents can use when they're needing to encourage themselves?
To encourage themselves? Oh.
You're okay.
Well, the one that I say the most is, you've got this.
Yeah.
You've got to be able to tell yourself that you've got it even when you don't.
Yeah.
There's plenty of times when everything's going completely rubbish for me and I'm joking with myself that I've got this, even when I quite clearly haven't.
Yeah.
You don't laugh, you'll cry.
Yeah.
So no one really has got it. You know, no one's really got it all going on. Everything's a bit of a shit show. Yeah. And we're all just coping with what life throws at us. So joking with yourself that you've got this is a start. I'm always, whenever I'm not feeling so great, I can see that my kids aren't feeling so great. The reminder that is always coming up for me is they're asking for help, or I'm asking for help. Instead of just being like, I'm tired, I'm anxious, I'm stressed, or my kid is having a tantrum, I'm asking for help, my child is asking for help. And that's a good reminder that I need to change my systems, or I need to respond to my child kindly instead of losing it, because whatever's happening, they're asking for help.
Nice. My variation of you've got this is I home birthed my kids.
Oh, miracle.
And it basically was just kind of how it rolled. And I thought, I'll go to hospital if I need to, but pretty much like my plan is this. And if I've got it, then I'll kind of stay here. Yeah. And I reached that point of going, I do not have this. This is like, I'm literally being torn in two here. And there was a moment where I said to my husband, I can't do this. Yeah. And he said, but you're doing it.
Yeah, you are currently in it.
And you're doing it is like my amazing truth coach to myself in so many parenting situations. Yeah. Because it's like, but you are doing it. Like, actually, if you step back and observe, you are managing this.
It's not to be perfect. You are in it. And all the evidence is pointing to you've coped every day since the beginning.
You're
and
doing
you're still
it.
managing it.
Yeah. And you don't need to feel like you've
Yeah.
got this or that you're doing it,
Yeah.
but you have got this and you are doing
You're
it.
probably just not meeting the ridiculous expectations you've set for yourself or that society has set for you.
Absolutely.
You're doing enough. You are enough. I often say that we're enough. What else do I say? That we can do hard things.
Yeah.
I'm always saying when I'm out there running or doing something big with my body that we can do hard things. We've got to give ourselves more credit. We're so capable, aren't we?
Yeah.
2 on birth is amazing.
Yeah. 3 and 1 10-pound baby. Yeah.
You are a queen.
Do you know the classic thing here is that everybody forgets about my middle child? And someone came to our house the other day and went, oh, I've just realised there's another one in
The
between.
maths isn't mathing.
Story of his life. And he's the
child.
best. We just tell him he's the best all the time. If a parent is overwhelmed and things are not working, what do they need to stop doing? Often we think about the things we need to add and do differently. What do we need to let go of?
First, just do less. Just think I need to do less, because often in situations where our kids are losing it, we're thinking, I have to fix this. We are mothers, we are the fixers. I need to stop them from crying. I need to stop this meltdown. I need them to, my job is to make them better. And actually our job isn't to make them better. Like our children do need to have these emotions, need to feel these feelings. They sometimes do just lose it. And sometimes we just need to shut up, for want of better words. We need to they just need our presence, and they need us to be calm so they can borrow our calm. So sometimes it can just feel like it's all gone wrong, and the most you can do is just be there and doing your own deep breathing to keep yourself calm and for your kids to listen. And to hear it on a podcast now, you might just be like, no, my kid would just keep screaming. But sometimes it's so unusual for your child to watch your mum not actually doing anything. She's just sitting quietly near me and she's deep breathing. How weird. I'm going to stop crying a little bit so I can listen to that. Oh, I find myself doing the same, Kids end up just naturally modeling, and then suddenly everyone's a bit calmer. So do less, say less.
And breathe.
Just be present, just breathe. There's so many times where I'm just like, everything's shit. I'm just going to breathe here, actually. And it works every time. It generally does.
Great advice. And so often we find ourselves thinking about all the things we need to do differently, the things we need to add. So that kind of strip it back, breathe, be present for your child. Such great advice.
It's good to, at the end of it, when everyone's fine, to reflect and be like, right, what happened? Well, my child was knackered and I dragged them into Riccarton Mall. And I really wanted to shop, but actually we hadn't fed them and the lights were overwhelming and it was noisy. And you can reflect on all the reasons that led up to your child having a nightmare and having a meltdown a little bit later. But in the moment, just be quieter.
Yeah. Great advice. And how do people connect with you if they'd like to find you?
I'm at Zazi Plays on Instagram. I'm chronically online. You can reach out to me there. I do my best to respond to every DM there. I'm at the You've Got This podcast, wherever you collect your podcasts. We're also my Facebook. I'm a little bit everywhere, but you can generally search my name, and all the advice that I put out there is at zazi.co.nz, and you can just search the support that you're looking for. So you can search biting and something will pop up that'll help you, or regulation and something will pop up. So
fabulous.
Zazi will get you a long way if you can Google that.
Yeah, and there's a shop too, hey?
Yeah, so I design children's products, so zazi.co.nz. You can see all the brainchilds, everything that comes out of my brain. When I decide I can do that a little bit better, I'm going to design something, that pops up at zazi.co.nz.
So great. Thank you for joining me.
No worries, it's been a pleasure. Thank you.
Yay. Well done. Thank you.
Thank you.
If this conversation felt like it was helpful to you, I'd love you to share it with someone else who might need it too. Don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss future episodes. You can find more support, tools, and how we can work together at charlottecummings.nz. See you next time.